Welcome back, everyone. How's your week been? Just a quick sound check. Everything is okay. If everything is alright, let me know. If the audio is broken, do let me know too. But I think it should be okay. Okay. Audio seems to be good on my side. And so welcome. I believe this is going to be it's my first Q&A session and live outlook in English. So there are a couple of house rules, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But welcome, everyone. Okay, just before we begin, it's going to be a general advice and risk warning disclaimer. Note that any advice given is deemed to be of general nature. It's a general advice as the information or advice given does not take into account your particular objectives, financial situation, or needs. Therefore, at all times, you should consider the appropriateness of the advice before you act further. CFDs and Forex are leveraged products and thus carry a high level of risk and are not suitable for everyone. You can lose more than your initial deposit, so you should ensure CFD and Forex trading meets your investment objectives. Strategies and charts used in these presentations are, for example, only. You are reminded that past performance is not indicative of future performance. And so I think this is our first session, so there are some transitions going on as well. This is our session guidelines, and I would request kindly, if all questions are to be in English on the chat, because this is going to be open for pretty much globally, right? Sessions are going to be conducted in English. Do not spam. I really have to write it out. Do not spam. There are a lot of spammers out there, and I want you not to spam because there's going to be questions that's going to get buried. Respect one another and be respectful. I kindly request that. And also, please ask relevant questions. If it's account-related questions, do contact the customer service. I'm here on the education side, and we are going to be doing just that. Okay. So, with that said, I do kindly request, if it's possible, just to type in your questions in English, and I'll get to whatever that's been asked. But yeah, that would be one request. Right. Just a heads up. In about an hour's time, exactly 58 minutes, there's going to be a call with. Biden's going to make a call with China. Right. That's going to move the market. Is it going to be positive? Is it going to be negative? That depends on what the call outcome is going to be. Right now, it's kind of 50-50. China doesn't want to lean too much into both sides. So the whole Ukraine-Russia war, China's trying to take the third route of being neutral. But I think the whole world is going to look at it. It's either pro-Ukraine or pro-Russia. So in 1 hour's time, that's going to be the call. And that's going to move the market. I'm pretty sure it's going to be volatile and might not be in a good way. Okay, so let me go through the questions. Welcome, everyone. Good evening. So do we have one live session in a week? At this point in time, with me, yeah. With others, I think there are a lot of other sessions in English. Live markets on other days and Fridays. Yeah. We're trying out on Fridays. I know some of you guys know that I don't really like to trade on Friday. So it's actually two sessions. It's both live market outlook and Q&A sessions. So if you guys have any questions regarding how I look at the market, you want to know my settings on the stochastics, how do I look at the Ichimoku and stuff like that, feel free to ask me in this session. And that'll be that. Okay, good. So we'll kick it off. For those that are new, the way this works is, if you have an open running positions and you want me to have a look at it, where to put the stop losses or take profit level and stuff like that. That's basically the whole goal. It's going to be different. It's not going to be about me talking about what to take, what to trade. It's more about you guys, what you have, and, maybe looking for an advice on what you should do with your position. That's the kind of things. Okay, it is a general advice, so don't take this personally. Don't just assume that if I say, look, the potential is there, then you guys assume that, yeah, it's an instruction from me. It is not an instruction. It's my observation, so it's my view. Okay, so started off, I think we already have a request on Aussie USD and Aussie Yen, so we're going to kick it off with Aussie USD. Taking a look at it from a daily perspective, I do want to wipe off this Fips. Right now, the Aussie USD, if you take a look at it from a daily perspective, we can tell straight away this is above the Ishimoku club. We bounces off 72, 72.50. This is way above, very close to 74. So we're going to take a look at it closely on the hourly on the hourly time frame, and we can quite see that there is a potential for a hidden bullish divergence. For those that are new and are curious, what is a hidden bullish divergence? Hidden bullish divergences are continuation patterns where the momentum or the stochastics or the oscillators are creating a new low, but price is maintaining, it's moving sideways, it's not creating a new low. Okay, so how do we look at it? Let's take a look at this one here. So we have a new low on the stochastics. I'll zoom it up a little bit, and we don't have a new low. In fact, we have a higher low on the price, right? So we're looking at a potential continuation pattern on the Aussie USD. I do want to caution you though, there is a particular level I need you to be careful. That is actually at 74 to 74.25. So right now we're very close to 74. If there is an hourly close above 74, then yeah, I'm going to be looking for a potential continuation to the upside for the Aussie USD. In terms of resistance, again, we're looking at about 74.50 as the potential cap for today. It is Friday after all, so there's going to be a little bit of a lacking momentum on Fridays, so that's kind of expected for the Aussie USD. Again, I think Aussie USD, we're looking at a potential for a breakout above 74, likely. Okay, if that happens, then we're going to be looking at a potential run towards 74.50. If it doesn't break above 74 on the hourly time frame, then unfortunately, there's not going to be any trade because there could be a potential pullback, and the pullback is pretty deep. We're talking about a pullback of, you know, closer to 73 cents, right? Below 73 cents, we got 72.50 and then 72 cents on the Aussie USD. But right now, it's best to stay clear, at least until that call with US and China happens. We're looking at, remember there's a daylight savings in US right now. Eastern time, it's actually -4. So yeah, it is an hour faster than usual. So the call is going to happen at 9 a.m. Eastern time. That's New York time if you're curious. Okay, so Aussie USD, you have a potential buy on Aussie USD that's locked in at 73.47. Stop loss is at break even. So 73.47, that should be about right. If you already move it to break even, I think it's an alright level. Ideally, it will be below 73. But again, if it's locked into break even, I don't think that should be a concern for that. For Aussie USD. Aussie Yen, on the other hand, I want you to be careful with 88. Yen, be very careful with that one. That's 127.2% on the daily. That's an extension. So yeah, I think we still have more room to the upside, but I want you to be really careful with this one here. If stop loss is at 87.36, that's below the 87.40 low. That's okay, leave it at that. But if you guys are looking for new positions, wait until the momentum turns around. The stochastic needs to go down and goes back up, and ideally a break above 88 yen. That's a likable scenario. Okay, are we looking at, you know, a hidden bullish divergence at this point in time with Aussie Yen? It's not a hidden bullish divergence. I do want to caution you because the pretty much all the yen crosses has been running up straight. This is on the back of the FOMC. We got stability in the market, at least. Bank of England, pretty clear, and then nothing new from Ukraine, Russia, except for the the call in an hour's time. So be careful with that. Okay, I'm gonna go through the questions. So if you guys have any questions, do ask, and I'm gonna answer it in English. If you can type it in English, it'll be great. It's gonna help everyone. Okay. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you are. When is the active time for oil and Aussie Yen? Anywhere that I can refer to, Aussie Yen is really active during the Asian session. If you got the Aussie market open and then the Japanese market open, that's a great time to trade the Aussie Yen. For oil, it's pretty much all the time. You want to focus early Asian morning, not so much during the UK session, and then it continues on in the US session. Can I do a brief intro on Ichimoku? I would love to. Yes, definitely. So here's how it's gonna play out, right? I mean, if there are requests for me to look at the market, I'll look at the market. If you guys want to steer more towards the education side, then I'll do that. So it is a Q&A session and a live market outlook session combined into one. We have 1 hour to do that, so that's fine. All right. Pound USD, we'll take a look at Pound USD. Pound USD, how do you think it's okay to scale in long on Euro USD? We'll take a look at Euro USD and then we'll go with Pound USD. Okay. So yeah, questions in English, please. That's gonna help out. I mean, there's a lot of other audiences that doesn't understand the language that's being typed in. So please do not type in Indonesian or in Indian or in Hindi or in Urdu or whatever. I'll try to answer whatever I can understand, but you know, just to be respectful to everyone, this is an English session. Okay. We'll take a look at the Euro USD first. One caution with Euro USD. I'll zoom in onto the daily, taking a look at the Euro USD on the daily. I think this was mentioned on the outlook. Key resistance for the week is definitely 1.1125, and then if it does break above 1.1125, then it's going to loop back into that range up to 1.1275. On the hourly, at least on the Euro USD, this isn't looking great at this point in time because one, the Ichimoku cloud is thin, and for those that were requesting how to look at the Ichimoku, we're gonna take a look at that once we look at the currencies and whatever assets you want me to look at, and then I'll explain a little bit about how to take a look at it from the Ichimoku perspective. Okay. Caution on this one, the Ichimoku cloud is actually very thin. One, the momentum is still below 20. So if you're looking at the stochastics, if you guys are wondering what my settings are for the stochastics, this is my setting. It's 1455, and that's what I use. So if you want to tune into 1455, that'll be great. In terms of your USD intraday wise, be a little bit more cautious on this one. It's not time to buy in yet. If it does closes above 1.1125, then we'll take the range up to 1.1275. But at this point in time, the rejection from 1.1125 happening on Friday. And yeah, look, the market is tense. I think everyone's waiting for that call, the US and China call. That's going to happen in 45 minutes. So I need you to be careful with this one. For those that are not aware of what's going on in the market, I'll explain in a little bit about the FOMC, about the Bank of England. But right now, for tonight, you need to be aware that it's going to be a call with between Biden and Xi Jinping. So US and China, they're going to talk about Ukraine, Russia. So if you guys didn't follow the news or whatever, US just pretty much donated, pledged $1 billion worth of ammunitions to Ukraine, so it's not really helping to ease off the whole situation. Okay, Euro USD, I need you to be careful with Euro USD. This is still below 1.1125. We are close to 1.10. And take a look at the FIBs here. I think we should be close to about 61.8% FIB retracement. In fact, it is about 61.8%. It might go down to 78.6%. That's about 1.0990, about 10 pips below 1.1. Be very careful about that support level. If we do close in below the 1.1 level on the hourly time frame, there could be a deeper correction towards 1.0950. Okay, below 1.0950, obviously we still have 1.0850. So be careful with Euro USD. I don't think it's time to scale in yet. There's a lot of uncertainty, especially not tonight, with what's gonna happen soon. Okay, so tips on Euro USD. If you don't have a position, stay clear of it. If you have a long position, you should figure out where you want to put your stop losses, because we just hit 1.1125 and it is a significant level, and I'll zoom out and you'll see why. This was the previous support level, tested as resistance twice. And yeah, even though momentum still points to the upside on the daily, it's not going to go anywhere if we don't break above 1.1125, at least on the hourly time frame on Euro USD. Okay, next up, Pound USD. If you guys are curious about Pound USD, what's going on with Pound USD, I know Bank of England just hiked interest rate, and maybe you guys get the update, maybe you guys don't. Why was it bearish? Why did it drop down? Because the market was expecting a 25 basis point hike and a 900 vote. That means all members are voting for a hike. However, last night, one member chose to say at 0.5% instead of hiking to 0.75%, and that is below market expectation. We kind of anticipated a pullback if that scenario happened. It did pull back down to 1.31, so 1.31 is going to be your intraday support. It will be your immediate support. Unfortunately, it is going to be range bound between 1.31 to 1.32. If it does stay above the Ichimoku cloud and back up above 1.3150, then it's okay. That's great. So we're looking at a potential for a hidden bullish divergence. Again, if you are not seeing it, I'll try and illustrate that for you. See this low here on the stochastics. It's creating a new low. Price is not creating a new low. So for now, it is still a valid potential for a hidden bullish divergence. If price breaks below 1.31, then we need to cancel this out. Okay, so it's not 100% sure. It's not 100% set in stone yet, so be very careful with this one. Euro USD, can you short Euro USD? I think you can still short Euro USD, but you need to be careful of the support here. We are very close to support at 1.10, yeah, 1.10. Be very careful with 1.10. If you do want to short below 1.10, then wait for that to happen. Wait for the hourly close below 1.10. There are supports on Euro USD. It's not like this is completely in a downtrend yet. It is still well supported. This is the overall bigger picture on the Euro USD. We got support at 1.0950. We got support at 1.0850. You want to trade this intraday short. This is a market that's moving towards a 61.8, 78.6% retracement. So you are actually at the tail end of the short. If you want to short this, you should have short this closer to 1.11. Okay, right now, you're risking a lot more than what it is, because if you do want to take a short position now, your stop losses is going to be way up. Your target level is going to be really tiny, right? You are aiming for what? 17 pips with a risk of 76, 80 pips. I don't think it's worth the risk. If you do want to aim for 1.0950, it is still below 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio. It's still a very risky trade. So yeah. But if you do have a short position, then your stop losses, you definitely want to have it closer to 1.10. So assuming that you do have a short for potentially up there, then yeah, you either move your stop losses to break even, let the trade run, but you need to know your target level. Right now, you're potentially looking at a move towards 78.6%. It might just hit there and then bounces back up because it's right now it is inside the Ichimoku cloud. So a lot of uncertainty going on, and we are going to talk about Ichimoku cloud later on in the session. So give me some time. We'll talk about the market and we'll explain a little bit about the Ichimoku cloud. At least get the idea on how to use this. But the hint is, if it's inside the Ichimoku cloud, you do not want to be looking for a new trade because there's a lot of uncertainty going on. Okay. How many languages do you even speak? I speak in English, I speak Mandarin, I speak Indonesian, I speak Bahasa Melayu, I speak a little bit of Japanese, a little bit of German, a little bit of French, but yeah. Okay. How to know that is a confirmed signal on the market? We typically look at an hourly close. Well, it depends on your time frame, right? I mean, if you're looking on the hourly time frame, if you're basing your analysis on the hourly time frame, then you definitely want to see a breakout, a confirmed close above a certain level on the hourly time frame. If you're looking at it from a 10 minutes perspective or 15 minutes perspective, then you want to be on that particular time scale. So yeah, there are rules to take a look on trades, whether you want to take a trade or not, but I normally look at the risk factor first before thinking about the whole thing. Does FOMC fundamental hawkishness already kicking in, or is it too fast to decide? It is too early to decide at this point in time because it's technically not a hawkish comments coming from the FOMC. A lot of you guys are informed about this, but we're looking at a guide of 25 basis point hike last Wednesday, and 7 interest rate hikes in 2022. We got 1 down, so 6 more to go. It was as expected in the market, nothing new. So yeah, it's not really FOMC being hawkish or not. It's kind of neutral. Market has already priced it in since November. Okay. Ba-ba-bum. Why is gold screwing sellers even after FOMC? Please suggest some short and long trades on gold. I'm hedged on gold. What's your view on gold? Because FOMC and gold has a very particular interaction between both of them. The way it goes is this. If FOMC starts hiking interest rate, golds are not going to be attractive. The reason why is gold is being very supportive right now, or even reaches 2,000. It's because of the war in Ukraine and Russia. People are worried about the whole safety in the market, whole risk factor. That's the only reason that's propping up gold, right? News coming up from Ukraine, Russia, nothing new coming out of it. You can see that gold pretty much dropped in prices. Key level to watch out for is 1920. I definitely want to stress this out. 1920 is a level that we talk about as a potential support for gold. This was in the outlook. If you guys don't know, we do have an outlook every Monday. Make sure to check in on that outlook. I typically gave out, what are key levels for the week, so as to guide you on what to be careful of. Okay, gold right now about 1920. There's a lot of uncertainty going on with gold until Ukraine-Russia crisis is done. There's going to be a lot of volatility in gold. If you're hedging in gold, then I would suggest maybe close those hedge and start fresh. If it's confusing you and you are hedged in, locked in, not going anywhere, then it's not worth holding. So you're better off just closing that position and wait for a new opportunity. But for now, 1920 is holding off the market pretty well. And if news are going bad on the call in about half an hour's time, it's going to prop up gold even more. So the risk is actually more to the upside on gold. So let me take a look at it from the hourly perspective. It is above Ichimoku cloud. It is above 1920. So as long as it is above 1920, we're not going to be too worried. We are only going to be concerned with gold if it closes below 1900. Okay, so 1900 is the level you want to be careful about. If it closes below 1900, then yeah, that's where you should be worried about your gold longs. If you're long gold and you got your stop losses done rightly, you put your stop losses below 1920, not too far from 1920, I think it should be okay. If you're planning to go short on gold, if it doesn't close below 1920, then your probability of being right is actually pretty slim. So yeah, it's kind of stuck. It's a Friday. A lot of things are going to happen on Friday. In fact, if you're going to be looking for an opportunity in gold on Friday, we are very close to 1920. That's all I can say. If you ask me for an intraday probability, then I would say, yeah, I think there are more room to the upside for gold, but not that much in terms of scale, because if you take a look at it from the intraday perspective, let me zoom in. We are going to be looking at a potential return maybe about 1950, 1955, and that's pretty much it for gold. Okay, so be very careful with gold. Okay. Pound USD bearish continuation. Right. One thing before I forgot about Pound USD, I need you to take a look at this, zoom out, take a look at this, and be very careful with Pound USD. Whatever you guys want to do, be very careful. Before, I need to take a look at it from the 4-hourly time frame because you can see this in a much more obvious view. But let me just draw it in. And 1, 2, 3, 4. We are going to be looking at a potential bounce potentially from 1.31. So here's my view on Pound USD. My note was this: if it's above 1.3, okay, if it doesn't close below 1.3 on the daily scale, on the weekly scale, then we're still looking at a potential bullishness on Pound USD. It's just that it's kind of stuck with the whole situation between 1.31 and 1.32. So we need to clear off 1.32. Otherwise, it's going to be range bound between 1.3, pivoting at 1.31, and then resistance at 1.32. If it clears off 1.32 this week, then we're good with pound USD. Be very careful if you're going short on pound USD. Okay, so this is still my observation. Anything can go wrong, but if I were to close it off, and I'll give you the head and shoulder on horizontal scale, then you'll see how it is actually range bound inside 1.31 and 1.32. Ideally, you want to see it close above 1.32 before you take on any trades on pound USD. I do not want to be shorting pound USD at this point in time. At least not on the early time frame. It's still above the Ichimoku cloud and whatnot. So for those that are new, still wondering about the Ichimoku cloud, we will talk about the Ichimoku cloud at the end of the session. So we've got about 15 minutes to go to look at the market, and then the rest is going to be Q&A session where I'll take a look at whatever question you have regarding trading. Okay. Oil, taking a look at oil. Okay. There was a note on oil. We're paying particular attention to 100. We are basically in a new cycle right now. This is what it is. We broke above 23.6%, bounces off 100. We're just waiting for the stochastics to move around. But again, this is going to be looking at a potential for a hidden bullish divergence on oil. Remember last week and this week, the drop in oil was locked into a very particular reason. One, nothing new coming out from Ukraine and Russia. That's one. Number two, we got the lockdown in China because of COVID. That decreases demand for oil. Overall, long term, if we take a look at oil from the futures perspective, this is still, it still has a potential for further upside with oil. Just be very careful with this. And I need to remind you, oil is not suitable for intraday trades. This is more for swing to longer term trades for oil. So if you're looking at a short term trade on oil, yeah, I mean, it's going to be intense. Okay. So intraday wise for oil, I mean, level for retracement, we are potentially looking at about 102, 103. But just to double check, we got a fib here. We haven't closed below 23.6. Again, yeah, we're looking at about 102, 103. That's not bottoming out yet. So oil, you got to plan this really well. If you don't trade this with a stop loss, then you need to give it more room. The stop has to actually be closer to about 97. Okay, so if you're not willing to risk that much, that's about $9 per barrel. That's a lot. Okay, but that's the only visible stop, even from the hourly perspective. If you are trading this and hoping that, yeah, it's not going to go below 105 and stuff like that, no. There is a potential for this one to go back down to 104, 103 before bouncing up again. So be very careful with oil. It might not be suitable for short-term traders. Okay, that's for UK oil. Same thing with US oil. We're potentially looking for a hidden bullish divergence, at least on the early time frame. It is showing that. Same thing with the daily. It is showing that as well. So I do not want to be caught short oil at this point in time. I would prefer to look for a long position, but wait for the stochastic to turn around before you go in long, and make sure it is still above $100 for the wick and still above the Ichimoku cloud. Okay, for oils. US 30. Okay, we'll take a look at that. I got a short position in Swiss yen 127.55. Is that safe? Swiss yen 127.55 short trade. Is it safe? Wow. 127.25. Depends where your stop loss is. I think it is still a little bit too early for Swiss yen to go short. Let's wait for the momentum to go down. Again, this is a counter trend market. Take a look at this one. You really don't want to be looking for a short in a market like this. But if you are short, maybe for short-term trades, then yeah, figure out where you want to get off. As long as your stop loss is above that high, it should be okay, but don't aim for a deep correction, because if you take a look at past examples, it's only correcting itself about 38.2, about 50%. That's pretty much it. Is it worth the trade? Really depends. I mean, your stop losses have to be really close up there. You're risking about 1-to-1, not even 1-to-1. You're taking about what, potentially 25 pips, risking about 26 pips. So yeah, this is an uptrend. It is a clear uptrend. You do not want to be shorting Swiss yen at this point in time, at least not on the intraday. All right, US 30. You got US 30 planned out, so not to worry about this one. Is it stable? It's okay in terms of stability. As long as it's above 34,000, it's okay. But if you're trading this and you're figuring out a way to go short, at least on an intraday scale, be very careful with 34,000. If it closes below 34,000 on the hourly time frame, then you might need to get out of that position. Again, we are looking at a potential return of risk in the market, but I'm not too sure, because in half an hour's time we got that call between US and China. I think that's gonna be a little bit random. So yeah, technical wise, so let me state this. One whole week you got different sessions that talk about pure technical and stuff like that. With me, it's gonna be different. I'm going to make you aware of what's going on in the market, and I need you to be aware of what's going on globally. Whatever that result from that phone call is in 30 minutes time, well, I mean, you gotta let them speak. So about an hour's time, you'll find out, right? It's gonna be publicized. Media is gonna report on it. The market is going to move. So is it the right time to jump in? Probably not. US 30, if you want to jump in for US 30, wait until the US market is open. But when we talk about US market being open, then you need to wait for that call to happen, right? So for now, technically, yeah, if it's above 34,000, it's still above the Ishimoku cloud, everything is fine. We're looking at a potential hidden bullish divergence happening on US 30, but again, it's a Friday. You got to worry about that call between China and US. Is it stable? Yes. I guess in terms of target, how far are you going to go with this one? You're not going to be looking at this for much of a gain. You're probably limiting yourself to maximum about 34,500. Okay, so make sure you cap that. Don't expect too much from the market. 34,500, you should be very, very careful with that level. So if you take a look at where price is, it's actually in the middle. If it bounces off from 34,000, the closer it is to get to 34,000, then the less risk you're gonna have with US 30. Okay, so here's the plan. If the market goes back down to 34,000, waiting for the momentum to happen, the closer it is to 34,000, the greater it is your probability, and the smaller your risk is going to be. So this is one scenario that could happen. We could see price returning to about 34,050 maybe. That would be a good level to buy in. If you want to buy in right now, your risk to reward ratio is going to be like this. You're risking too much, right? You're risking double what you're trying to get in the market. So don't try to go long right now. It's actually in between spaces. If you want to go short, then it's the reverse, because we're kind of in between. Then your stop loss and your target level, it's still not going to be great. Okay, either way, it's not a great place to jump in for US 30. So if you already have a position with US 30, if you're going long on US 30, you want to adjust your stop losses, adjust it that it's below 34,000. I think that's okay. If you're looking for new positions on US 30 today, probably not a great idea until the US market kicks off, at least for an hour or two. Okay? Okay, let me go through the questions. If Aussie pairs is being moved by higher prices and demand from commodities, so what if Australia RBA decides to increase their interest rate and the commodities prices are still high? Then we are looking at the double whammy for Aussie USD. We are looking at a potential very bullish scenario. But let me remind you, the RBA is not going to hike interest rate until the unemployment rate goes down. So it's still out of the picture for now. Aussie pair go to the moon. It depends. Oil, wait for 98. Yep, support retest a real while waiting for stocks cross to go long. For US oil, I'm actually saving this. See, this is the problem of doing this on Friday, because then half of the outlook for next week is actually going to be today. I've already done the outlook for next week. I'm actually waiting for a long with the US oil side of things. Just waiting for it to happen. Yeah, I am looking at about 99, 98 or even a bounce off 100. That's okay with me on US oil. Okay. Yep. So yeah, we talk about gold. About daylight savings. So now US pre-market open starts at, so yeah, it's starting at 16 to 20 for US breakout. It is an hour earlier. Ta-da. Could you please analyze Aussie Swiss? Do we have impulse down? I don't know what you mean about impulse down, but we don't have anything down with Aussie Swiss. Again, if you take a look at all the risk sensitive market, or where a lot of these risk assets, we're looking at a potential for a hidden bullish divergences all across the board. So what I'm really worried about is this. I'm worried about the call between US and China, and I don't know what's with me and starting a new session. Every time I start a new session, big stuff just happens, right? So Aussie Swiss, at least on the early time frame, again, I would just wait for the stochastics crossover, and then we're going to be potentially looking for a long. I don't want to be short Aussies at this point in time. I'm not using Tenkan Kijun. Is it for sake of simplicity? It is for the sake of simplicity. I want you to focus more on the stochastic side of things. Let me just go through the questions. See, this is the reason why I don't want you to spam, because I need to go through the questions. And unlike other sessions, I typically answer all the questions that are being asked. So let's go through that. I'm going to skip. You got US 30. We are done with US 30. Okay, say, guys, please don't spam. Pound USD, if hidden bullish hourly goes according to plan, can we immediately target 132.70? 1.3270, you mean for pound USD? Yeah, so yeah, see, this is why I made those rules, right? Because we need to go through all these questions. Please do ask stuff that are relevant, because otherwise it's going to be hard for me to answer your questions, okay? So let's rephrase on pound USD. The hourly time frame, I would wait for this one to get out of the Ishimoku cloud. Once stochastic crosses up, that's 2. Okay, but I'm not holding anything long for pound USD, because to me it is still range bound, and I wanted to get out of at least 1.32 before I start, holding bigger trades for pound USD. Right now, I don't like how choppy it is. Where price is right now is actually between 1.31 and 1.32. I would prefer to go long if it stays above 1.31. Okay. Okay. So, any other requests for currency side? Otherwise, we're going to move on to requests on the Ishimoku side of things. A lot of you guys are probably curious about the Ishimoku side of things. So let me close this. Let's pick an example. Pound USD, probably not a great example. In fact, let's talk about dollar yen, because I still want to talk about dollar yen. Okay. So there are components to the Ishimoku cloud. Sorry, Ishimoku Kinko Hyo. But I want you to focus on at least just the Ishimoku cloud in the beginning. Okay, if you got everything right now, it's too much. it's going to confuse the hell out of you. There's just too much going on, and it's not going to be helpful at all. And for this outlooks, I typically just want to focus on the cloud itself. And having the cloud itself means leading span A and B, okay? Which is the Senko A and Senko B. And that's all we want to take a look at. If price is above the Ichimoku cloud, then we're looking at a potential bullish scenario for whatever it is. If price is below the Ichimoku cloud, then we're looking at a potential bearish scenario. So it's not hard to figure it out. So I can maybe throw it in. Taking a look at the hourly perspective on Ichimoku. If price is below the Ichimoku cloud, you know, its tendency is to go down. All right. If it crosses it, then it potentially goes down. If it crosses up, then yeah. And if it stays above it, then it's fine. The trend will continue. Taking a look at this one here, it's a pullback towards the Ichimoku cloud, but it bounces off, so it is still above the Ichimoku cloud. Dollar yen, the reason why I want to give you an example on dollar yen, because you need to be concerned about what's going on with FOMC. And if you're trading dollar yen, intraday wise, I need you to take a closer look at not that high, but this high over there. This one. Okay, so if there's a close above that, what's likely going to happen is that we're looking at a potential for ascending triangle on the dollar yen. So yeah, if hourly closes above 119.12, we're taking a look maybe about 119.15, then you could potentially go further on the scale. I typically use Fibonacci extension to get my target level. We are looking at about 119.34, 119.60. Those are going to be your target level. If you are going on a breakout, then you definitely want to have an hourly close above that. Your stop losses is going to be the last low, or maybe this one over here. Your target level are going to be there. Okay, for intraday scale, I think we can have it here. That's fine. You're going to be looking at a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio, but you need to know where your limit is. So we're looking at about 119.50 for your target level on dollar yen. I don't normally trade dollar yen, but a lot of people are requesting for dollar yen today. So yeah, that's what it is. So that's Ichimoku in a nutshell in the Ichimoku cloud. The other parts of the Ichimoku, if you want me to explain everything very briefly, I typically use the baseline and conversion line. This is switch around. Okay, baseline is typically blue. Conversion line or the Tenkan is actually red. So if price is above those levels, then we're looking at a potential bullish scenario to happen. But the priority is this. You typically look. It's very hard to explain Ichimoku in like 15 minutes, but I'm trying my best. If price transition above the Ichimoku cloud, then we're looking at a bullish scenario. So for example, this one over here, right? You might miss that out. I mean, if you're relying purely on Ichimoku, you're not going to get a trade. You are going to get a trade over here when the Tenkan crosses the Kijun to the upside. Okay, simple as that. So let me zoom it for you. Okay, so we got price crossing above the Ichimoku cloud over here. And then the Tenkan pulls back below the Kijun and then it crosses back up. That's where you got in. So if you give the scenario, that means you go in long right around there. Your stop losses is going to be the previous low, which is here. And yeah, you just trail it, nothing happened, you get out there. Okay, that's pretty much where you get out. If it crosses below Tenkan crosses below Kijun, that's where you get out. So you're looking at a trade from there to pretty much there. Okay. And then when it crosses back up again, then you want to go long again. Look, this is just a very, very brief example, but that's the base case scenario. Okay, so simple. All right, let's go back to the charts. I think we still have questions. Can I use the XY to see the trend on dollar pair? Yes, that's a very good question, and we actually do pay close attention to dollar index in terms of trends. You want to take a look at DXY on the daily scale, and yeah, so you can take a look at dollar index. Overall, if you take a look at the dollar index, it's not about whether it's bearish or bullish or whatnot. What you want to find out is what are the key levels on the dollar index, and this one here we still have 97. So as long as the dollar index is still above 97, we're looking at a potential bullishness to remain for the dollar. However, if you take a look at what's going on with the dollar index and what's potentially going to happen with all the other counter currencies for the dollar, is that we expect a little bit of a correction to happen for the US dollar, at least in the next week or so. Okay, so we're looking at potential pullback towards 97 on the dollar index. That's not, it doesn't mean like if it drops 100 points on the dollar index, it's going to be like 100 pips in Euro USD or 100 pips in Pound USD. It's on a different scale. The composition of the dollar index itself is based on 6 currencies. Euro USD is the majority of it. Pound USD is what, 13%, and then we got the Swedish krona as well in there, so there's only 6 currencies in there. The Aussie USD is not part of it, so be very careful with that, so it doesn't translate to the Aussie USD. Bitcoin price is still in consolidation. If this is bulls, then should we wait until April to see if it's going down again? Let me try to get that question right. Is it in consolidation? It's pretty flat. I'm not really too keen on Bitcoins at this point in time. I don't have a lot going on in terms of directions. It is still pretty choppy. From the daily perspective, it is choppy. It's within the Ichimoku cloud. The Ichimoku cloud is actually very, very thin. It can go either way. If you take a look at this one in terms of range, it's actually still capped by 45,500. Okay. The immediate base is actually at 40,000. If the daily closes below 40,000, we can still drop back down to about 35,000. So yeah, it can go either way. If you take a look at this one, this is actually right in the middle. The pivot is at 40,000. If you take a look at it from the daily perspective, then that's what my view is. If it's taken from the hourly perspective, it's very, very choppy. It's still within the Ichimoku cloud. It's very close to 40,000. If it bounces off 40,000, then yeah, potential for the upside, it's much greater. But if it does closes below 40,000, then stay clear from Bitcoin. It's not stable. If price is inside the Ichimoku cloud, you stay away from it, right? What it is right now. So just now I explained if price is above or below. If price is actually inside the Ichimoku cloud, it means there's a lot of uncertainty going on in the market. If you take a look at the Ichimoku cloud, it's called Kumo, right? Kumo is actually cloud, and it also means spider. So you're taking a look at price going into a cloud where you cannot see where you're gonna go, or it's stuck in a spider web and it's sticky, right? So if price is actually close to the Ichimoku cloud, you're waiting for an opportunity to get in, or to get in long or short, depending on the direction. So for example, in Bitcoin, if it doesn't close below the Ichimoku cloud, then we're looking at potential to go long on the hourly time frame. Okay. Dollar Canadian. All right. So this is how it goes, right? You request it, I'll take a look at it. Simple as that. Dollar Canadian, I'm not too keen on dollar at this point in time. The whole FOMC situation, if you guys are thinking, why is it reversing on itself? Market has already priced whatever is going on, okay? It's not a 50 basis point hike. If it was a 50 basis point hike, then dollar wouldn't be here right now. The US dollar would be way up higher. Okay, dollar Canadian on the daily is actually below the Ichimoku cloud. Momentum still points to the downside. I can, if you take a look at this one here, it's pretty simple. We got a potential extension towards 1.25 exactly, about 127.2. However, it requires a close below 1.26 at least on the daily time frame. If you take a look at it from the hourly perspective, it is below the Ichimoku cloud. So whatever it's doing right now, if it goes up, you are going to be countering the market because the short-term trend is still to the downside. It's below the Ichimoku cloud. It might potentially return towards the Ichimoku cloud. However, it's hard to actually cross above that. And if you take a look at it from the, which we'll talk about Ichimoku in, sorry, we'll talk about Fibs in the next session, maybe. But right now, if it does closes above, sorry, let me just clear this away. So if you take a look at it from the hourly perspective, it might go up to 38.2% or potentially 50%, where the 38.2 and 50% is from that move to the downside happens. And that'll be at the top of the Ichimoku cloud in terms of the resistance, right? So we can actually look at it, and yeah, instead of taking a trade right now, if you take a look at the dollar Canadian, see how the momentum is going up, but price is not really going anywhere. Okay, this is going up really quickly, price is not. If it goes up and then down and price is not anywhere up there, it's going to be hidden bearish divergence. We're looking at a potential continuation for the dollar Canadian. I don't want to go short dollar Canadian right now, but I want to let this one go up a little bit, at least to 38.2, and then we'll see what happens there in terms of stop losses. Where is it going to be? But you likely don't want to have it more than 1.2725. That's really the max, right? But if you're looking at a potential continuation for this one, then yeah, I mean, we could aim lower for dollar Canadian, but wait for price to go back up, right? Don't just assume, oh yeah, it's going up right now. Oh, it's a bullish candle. I'll just go long. No, you got to look at the momentum here. We are looking at a potential hidden bearish divergence here. Price could just go back up and then it got shut down again. So be very careful with dollar Canadian at this point in time. Dollar Canadian goes short at 128.35, 1.28. Dollar Yen or dollar Canadian? I am lost with the comas. 1.2835. Yeah. Yeah, I'm okay with going short on this one. I'm assuming it's 1.2835. Yes. If you are short 1.2835, your stop losses, should actually be here, 1.2778. So it should be locked in. You should lock this in. And then once it got rejected from the cloud, then yeah, you can lock it down even further in terms of your stop losses. Yeah, we can do an Ichimoku cloud. We can do an Ichimoku session, hopefully, yeah, in English. Does the hawkishness of the Fed affect Bitcoin? Okay. How do we define the hawkishness of the Fed? I don't think it's about the hawkishness of the Fed. Right now, Fed lays out, the FOMC lays out what they want to say really well. The market has been pricing it for what, 6 months? 3 months at least, right? 3 months, yeah, 3 months, at least 3 months since they start announcing the taper. I think the market's already been pricing a lot of things. Is it going to affect Bitcoin? To a certain degree, it doesn't. Bitcoin is not really affected by the fundamentals. I think Bitcoin is more affected by risk sentiment in the market. But, if you take a look at the Ukraine-Russia situation, there's a reason why Bitcoin is not moving up much, okay? It's not going anywhere, right? I mean, if you take a look at the risk sentiment, it shouldn't be down, shouldn't be crashing down. It's not crashing down because there's a demand for Bitcoin, for cryptos. It's not particularly in Bitcoin, but there's a demand for cryptocurrency, if you get what I mean. Okay, because traditional method of payment doesn't, due to the sanctions, it doesn't work. So the only way out is crypto, so there's still demand for it. I don't think it's affected by it might seem like it's affected by central bank decision, but it's not. Because if you take a look at cryptocurrencies, you got to think about it. It's a decentralized market without regulation. So how is it central bank's regulation is going to affect Bitcoin? Technically shouldn't. Okay, it's just people's assumption in terms of their risk sentiment. All right, dollar CAD, pretty clear on what I'm trying to say, but you should be locking in your profit with dollar Canadian. You don't want to leave your stop losses up there. You should be locking in your profit right now. It's just that I can't move my stop losses below my entry point on this one here, but yeah, stop losses should be adjusted. It should be locked in about there. So that's a lot. Okay. So that's cool. Any other requests for tonight? Otherwise, I need you to be careful in 5 minutes time. I don't know what's going to happen. Okay, I don't think anyone knows what's going to happen. I think the market is anxious because if you take a look at what price movement is on the Euro USD and the Pound USD and whatnot, it's actually pretty flat. It's not going to go anywhere. And pre-news, it's actually dropping. So I think market is potentially pricing in for any bad news that's going to happen. Okay, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how Biden's going to talk with China. I don't have a lot of faith in Biden. I mean, it's St. Patrick's Day and he's already making a blunder by calling Putin something, right? So I don't trust the guy. I don't know if he can handle this. So yeah, am I worried? I am worried. Okay, at least for tonight, I'm worried about the call. You are probably going to get an answer in 10-15 minutes time. Aussie Yen, we already take a look at Aussie Yen, but I need to be careful with 88 Yen. That's all I can say with Aussie Yen. Again, I don't want to go short Aussie Yen. I don't think it's a place to go short Aussie anything. Okay, wait for a pullback, ideally about 87, 87.50 or close above 88. So you got two potential scenario. One, it's price breaking above 88 and then bounces off to test 88. That's why you want to get in. Or price goes below this intraday and we'll see where it goes, but I think it's going to bounce off the Ichimoku cloud because it's a pretty thick Ichimoku cloud, right? By the way, with Ichimoku cloud, you take a look at the thickness on the cloud itself. If it's thick, then we're looking at potentially, we're looking at a potential support in there, a lot of support building up, but these are the scenarios for Aussie Yen. I prefer scenario 1 where it goes above 88, come back down to get 88, because on that we can actually go long. Once it bounces off 88, stop losses can be adjusted there. In terms of target, you are going to be looking at about 89 at least with Aussie Yen. So either way, either scenario, you're going to either get that or you are going to get this down here. It's just that over here, stop loss is going to be a bit lower. In terms of target, we're going to be looking at 88. Okay, so two scenarios, depends on what's going to happen. VIX is back at 30. Last I checked was 26, right? VIX is still at 26. Pre-market at 26.25. It's still below 30, but, am I worried about VIX? Yeah, a little bit, but I think we might go down a little bit. Look, I don't know what's going to happen with the call. Okay, if you guys are not aware of it, then, things go really jumpy in 50 minutes time. At least you guys know what it is, right? I'll share whatever's in that call. I'm waiting for that call. I'm trying to look. I think the whole market is anxious. If people are aware of it, if you're not aware of it, then they'll just go through their normal day. And then when it happens, they don't know what happens. They'll just go, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Okay. If the war continues, that means we are seeking risk assets like Aussie fall. Aussie is actually not categorized as a risk asset. If gold goes up, if the war continues, people might be worried. They might run to gold, right? But looking back at the situation, let me just explain a little bit. It's not about what's going on in the market. It's not really about the war. It's about the sentiment in the market. If people are looking at the war and they say okay, talks are happening, peace is coming, it's not happening. I mean, war is war, and a lot of people died. It's crazy, right? But gold, it's not gonna go anywhere. I mean, if you think about it, the war continues. Why is gold down? Why is it back down to 1900, 1920? It's not about that. It's actually about short-term sentiment. That's pretty much it. And Aussie is not a risk asset. Risk assets are Pound USD, Pound Yen, Euro USD, Euro Yen. Aussie USD are not. Aussie USD are commodity currencies. Yeah. Market outlook as usual on Monday. Nasdaq. All right, I'm helping out this session, but in the future, please type your question in English. That would be great, guys. Nasdaq, we're looking at about 14,000 right now. We're stuck at about 14,000. I would see the potential for this one to maybe continue to push up, but I am concerned about the 14,000 here. If it closes below 14,000 today, then I might want to stay clear of the Nasdaq for now. But yeah, this one you need to have a close above 14,100 before you can actually take a long, and then the stochastic needs to cross over as well. It's not just about price; you need to have the momentum on your side. Okay, at this point in time, it's still unclear, but it is above the Ichimoku cloud. So we are waiting for a potential buy instead of a short. I do not want to go short Nasdaq at this point in time. Yep, English session is going to be on every Friday. I'm still trying to work out the format and the timing. You know, it is quiet today because it's the link was taken down and was posted up again. So there's a little bit of a miscommunication, I think, with the link. But this is going to be on every Friday. For now, it will be on every Friday. My session is going to be in English. So live market outlook, whatever, it is going to be on Friday. So yeah, it's not just a one-off thing, I think. Okay, XRP Ripple. Just gonna use that. XRP, yeah, I mean, we are still looking at a potential buy on XRP once it goes up above the Ichimoku cloud. Ideally above 79, that will be the ideal place. If it does go up. But again, look, crypto, at this point in time, it is choppy. I need to be careful with this one. XRP, at least if it does close above 79, then you might potentially want to go long there. And in terms of target, I think we could potentially get 127.2%, just right around there. So risk reward ratio is alright. It is still above it's 1.4. So yeah, risking 137 points for 192. It's okay for Ripple. In terms of going short on Ripple at this point in time, it is above the Ichimoku cloud. It might be a little bit choppy, but here, you can use this trend line if you want. As long as it's above that trend line, we are looking at a potential long on XRP. But if you take a look at the whole bigger picture, it's actually within a symmetrical triangle, so be very careful with this. Okay, so you're looking at that triangle. We are inside the triangle, at least on the daily time frame. But if you take a look at it from the hourly perspective, then yeah, there's room to go. That's fine. Dollar yen, is it okay to go long dollar yen? I think I mentioned this. If it does break above 119.15, 119.20, it's it's actually gonna. Is it okay now? I wonder if it's okay now. Let me zoom out a little bit. It's pushing it, but I think I already did dollar yen just now, right? This one here. No, I wiped it off. Sorry, let me just go back again. Should you go long? You can if you want, but your risk is gonna be your target is gonna be limited to 119.50. I think there's already a close above this, so yeah. I mean, if you want to go long, you can. But your stop losses is gonna be here. Your target is gonna be about 119.59 max. Sorry, rambling on. Okay, this is your stop loss. This is going to be a target level. Decide for yourself, is it worth the risk? Risk reward ratio is not great. It's not even 1 to 1. You're looking at a risk about 66 pip, aiming for 46, 45 pips. So for dollar yen. For some trading pairs right now, we need to see weekly or monthly to know the next resistance. Potentially, yes. Do I trade stocks? Yes, I trade stocks, but I don't discuss that in this session because Octa FX, we don't trade stocks. But yeah, let me give you a hint. Tech stocks are going to be great, especially in June, if you get the idea. And it's not Apple that I'm looking for. It's the other one. 20-to-1 stock split. That's the one that you're going to be after. June 6th. Okay. Anything else regarding the market that we can take a look at? More than happy to take a look at it. Nope. Okay. So, yeah. Don't go short Aussie anything. In fact, try to look for a potential long in Aussie everything. Okay, Aussie USD, Aussie Yen. I'll give you a clear outlook on Monday in terms of Aussies, but yeah, Aussies are in my radar, and I'm actually gonna be waiting for a potential long for this one. That's including oil as well. In terms of gold, it's not great. Be careful because it's actually stuck between 1950 and then 1920. It's actually right in the middle. Your risk reward ratio is not going to be great. If you want to go short or you want to go long, it's not going to be great. If it goes closer to 1920, then yeah, it's okay. But if you take a look at it from the hourly perspective, it is already bounced off. It's bouncing off, right? But it's still capped by 1950. So if you want to go long gold, make sure it closes above 1950. If it doesn't close the week above 1950, if it's closing the week around 1920, then you need to wait another day or two on Monday or Tuesday. Why is Aussie up? Aussies are a little bit weird, right? Aussie are commodity currencies, so if gold prices goes up, commodities, especially in steels, I know nickel dropped down the other day, but Aussie is pretty much okay in terms of risk assets. Aussies are not risk assets. Okay, I think a lot of people are confused about this. Aussie USD are not risk assets. Aussie Yen are used for carry trades, but for now, if you take a look at Aussie USD, it's not about the central bank or anything like that. It's really about, gold goes up. Commodity prices goes up. Aussie are well supported. That's pretty much it. Nothing new, nothing great. Okay, if you take a look at Aussie itself, it's not really huge. It's range bound. It's really range bound. The range itself, that's pretty much since April. So if you take a look at, March, right? I mean, we are March, 18th? So in the past 18 days, price has basically just stayed flat. If I pull out the monthly chart, nothing. It's not super volatile or anything like that. It's actually flat. And if you want to take a look at the range itself, the range has been flat since the 2nd of November 2020. And that's it. We are not going anywhere with Aussie USD. It's flat. It's just an illusion that you guys think this is actually something that's trending. It's not. It looks like it's huge. It's only moving 150 pips. It's not major or anything like that. Okay, so I think we can wrap it up for tonight. Thanks for joining in. I know it's a Friday and it's a last minute thing. So yeah, hopefully I'll get to see more of you next week. For now, we'll wrap it up. And yeah, US-China call. News might be trickling in. I've got nothing so far. But I think the call has started. It's 9 a.m. In New York right now. Aussie CAD and New Zealand do fall during crisis. I enjoy you. Dollar XAU goes up on more uncertainty. Historically, take a look at this one. Aussie USD during the global financial crisis is actually above parity with the US dollar. So yeah, don't know about that. Aussie CAD New Zealand do fall during crisis. Enjoy. Dollar XAU goes up on war and uncertainty environment. Yeah, to some degree, but I mean, are we in an uncertain market? I think people are bored with the Ukraine-Russia news. Traders get bored easily. It's not even a month, right? No major news coming out. The market just stabilizes itself, and then they just focus back on the central bank decisions. Okay, so we'll wrap it up. Thank you all. I'll see you next week. Stay safe. Have a great weekend. Good luck.